Hello, everybody. Welcome to Control City Freak. This is the YouTube channel where we talk about interstate highways and the cities that they are signed to go to. My name is Todd, and today we are talking about Interstate 24, one of the great diagonals of the interstate highway system. We see it here. It goes from southern Illinois to roughly Chattanooga, maybe just a tiny bit outside Chattanooga, but basically Chattanooga, mainly through Nashville. We will start by talking about eastbound I-24, as we usually do. There's actually quite a bit of fanfare for it well before it starts. This is about 50 to 60 miles before the start of I-24 on I-64 in Mount Vernon, Illinois. We get a to I-24 Nashville keep right sign here on I-64. I haven't seen too many signs like this for interstates that don't start for quite a while. And then in Mount Vernon, when 57 and 64 are splitting, we get another 224 Nashville keep right. If anybody knows of an earlier I-24 sign along the line, I looked in St. Louis but couldn't find any. Please let me know in the comments. Now we have the actual start of I-24, 24 East Nashville, 57 South Memphis. Hey, it's just like being on I-40 in the middle of Tennessee, but we're in Illinois. Perfect mileage sign, first mileage sign I saw for I-24. US 45, a major route 13 miles away. Paducah, Kentucky, a pretty big city so far as this road goes along the line, 42. Nashville, the largest city by far that this road hits, 180. Once we're across the river on the Kentucky side, Nashville remains a control city, as we can see here. And we can also see for westbound 24 that it gets Paducah and St. Louis. Continuing on, eastbound 24 retains Nashville, briefly also gets signed for Henderson because I-69 has some pretty rough control cities here, but I imagine those will change once I-69 gets built a little more. These are just from the old Kentucky parkways that I-69 is running on right now. Further down the line, we get Cadiz, Nashville, so things stay consistent. And as we approach Nashville, we get 65 North Louisville, 24 East and 65 South, Nashville. 24 and 65 split within the city limits of Nashville. They do a real nice job in Nashville assigning 24, 40, and 65. I like how all three roads have brief concurrencies with each other, and when these concurrencies split, the third road is always mentioned too. Here we have the meeting of 40 and 24, and 40 and 24 split for Knoxville and Chattanooga. Chattanooga retains its control city status throughout. Manchester is a secondary control here. Strangely, I-24 drops down into Georgia for just a brief couple of miles, and while in Georgia, it meets I-59. So we get 59 South Birmingham, 24 East Chattanooga here. Returning to Tennessee, we now get 24 East Atlanta, Knoxville. So I thought this was a little weird at first. I thought, why not just sign at 24 East Atlanta? Because the direction of I-24 you're going on, it's going kind of in a southeast direction. So it seems most traffic would be getting on southbound 75. So it seems like Atlanta would be the way to go. But then I remembered you just met 59, which is going on in a northeast trajectory. So all the 59 traffic would be much more likely to be going to Knoxville than Atlanta. So actually a great sign here. We meet the end of 24 at I-75, which of course is North Knoxville, South Atlanta. Let's look at westbound I-24. Here on northbound 75, we get North Knoxville and 24 West Chattanooga and Nashville. So I like this because we aren't quite in downtown Chattanooga yet. 75 is signed for Chattanooga going in both directions. So it makes sense because we're not really in Chattanooga yet to give the control of Chattanooga to 24 and also to keep Nashville on there too. However, southbound 75, we've got a whole different ballgame. Southbound 75, we get West 24 259 Chattanooga, Birmingham. We don't have a mention of 59 on northbound 75 because most likely, if people were interested in going to Birmingham, they would have taken I-20 from Atlanta and wouldn't have come up to Chattanooga to begin with. So now we have no mention of Nashville, just Chattanooga, Birmingham. But again, makes sense. It'd be too weird to have 3 control cities on a sign. And here in downtown Chattanooga, we get West 24, 259, Nashville, Birmingham. This stretch of I-24 I just always really liked. I've driven across on 24 a few times, and this little part by the river in Chattanooga is a really scenic, really beautiful area. So now we have the 59-24 split in Georgia in our brief foray into Georgia, and 24 quickly loops back into Tennessee. In the outskirts of Nashville, we get 24-40 Nashville, 40 East Knoxville. Closer to downtown Nashville, same as before, we get 2 South 65 West 40 and West 24 to North 65. Clarksville, Louisville, Huntsville, Nashville. A lot of vills in this part of the country, huh? And once again, when we meet with 65, we get South 65 to West 40 and West North 2465. Clarksville, Louisville. So we now switch to Clarksville as our control city, which was my least favorite control city of I-24. Clarksville seemed like not that famous of a place. You just know it from the Monkees song, I guess. But then I looked it up, and Clarksville is actually growing quite quickly and is over 100,000 people. It's the 5th biggest city in Tennessee now. And now we are on 24 West Clarksville, while 65 goes north to Louisville as we leave Nashville. Nashville, nice place. Shout out my buddy Don, he had a kid yesterday. Nashville dude. Clarksville 20, St. Louis 271. Quite a control city or mileage sign here in Tennessee on the way to Clarksville. Also, I will say it makes sense that Clarksville is not signed on eastbound 20, even though it is, growing and quite large these days, because Nashville's not too much further. Nashville's so much bigger. Of course, you would be signing Nashville. So in Clarksville, you get 24 East Nashville and 24 West Paducah. Or this is actually on the Kentucky side, I believe. And we see in the meeting I-69 in Kentucky, West 24 Paducah. So Paducah becomes the control city. Also was not a control city in eastbound 24, but I think it does work for westbound 24 because it's by far the largest city in Kentucky that 24 passes. And it's the biggest city that it's going to pass for the rest of its actual route. St. Louis is still kind of a zigzag 3 interstates away kind of thing too. We do get St. Louis signed in Kentucky, though. Once we cross into Illinois, though, no more mention of St. Louis. Suddenly, the control city becomes just Interstate 57. Once again, Interstate 57, 24 West, Interstate 57. Don't see this too often. A nice 24 ends 1 mile. And here is where 24 ends at I-57, 57 Memphis, Chicago. But we do get this nice to St. Louis, use 57 north. 57 is signed for Memphis and Chicago its entire route. It's never signed for St. Louis, but 24 makes more sense to be signed for St. Louis because if you were coming from Tennessee to go to Chicago, you would have taken I-65 anyway. 24, I gotta say, this might be the best signed route in the country. There's a lot of really interesting choices made on I-24 by 3 different state DOTs, and other than having I-57 as a control city, they really knock it out of the park every time. So, well done, I-24. So yeah, here is the very end of I-24 with the I-57 junction, and that will take us to the end. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this channel and subscribe. We got more fun stuff coming. I-25, awesome Mountain West stuff next time. Thanks again. My name is Todd, and keep on trucking.